on a day that an 11-year-old boy was found dead inside a madrasa in Nuh in Haryana, and an illegal madrasa was demolished in Assam. Muslim bodies, they got together in Uttar Pradesh to push back against Yogi Adityanath government's decision to survey unrecognized madrasas in the state. Now, should this exercise remain confined just to Uttar Pradesh, or should there be a larger nationwide drive? Also, why was another madrasa demolished in Assam? GP Singh, Special Director General of Assam Police, joins me from Guwahati on this India First special. Welcome on the show. I'm Gaurav Sawant. As always, let's get started with the headlines on India First. One girl electrocuted, political blame game erupts. Parts of Bengaluru remain submerged. Drinking water supply restored in some places. Nitish Kumar pushes for opposition unity. Bihar Chief Minister meets Arvind Kejriwal, Akhilesh Yadav, Mulayam Singh Yadav and Sitaram Yechuri in Delhi. Says he's not chasing the Prime Minister's post. Enforcement Directorate raids in connection with Delhi's Liquorgate scandal. Several locations in the capital raided. Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia claims it's a witch hunt. NIA charge sheet in the Dakshin Kannada Bajrang Dal worker Harsha murder case accessed. Probe agency says hatred for Hindus and hijab controversy prompted radical Islamists to kill the Bajrang Dal worker. Liz Truss is officially UK's Prime Minister after the Queen formally appoints her at the Balmoral Castle. British High Commissioner to India tells India today that free trade agreement is on track. Images of massive bulldozers and JCB machines demolishing a madrasa, a Muslim educational institution, went viral in Assam. Chief Minister Hemant Biswa Sarma insisted educational institutions must not impart radical Islamist terror training, or words to that effect. Now, another madrasa has been taken down, this time in Assam's Goalpara. Not by the government, but as you can see in these images, by people themselves. Listen in to voices on ground on what happened and what was happening at this madrasa in the name of education, and why people decided enough is enough. This madrasa in Assam's Goalpara is the fourth to have been demolished so far. But this time, not by the state government, but by local residents angered by the use of the madrasa for alleged terror activities.
এতে সন্দেহ করছে যে আমার এতে জিহাদি থাকা বলি আমিও গম পাইছি যে আমার এতে জিহাদি আছিল জিহাদিটা এরপর পলাই গেছে পলাই যাওয়ার পাছত আমি জিহাদির ঘরটা আমি রাইজে মিলি ভাঙাই দিলু
Two Bangladeshi nationals, Aminul Islam and Jahangir Alam, who taught at the madrasa between 2020 and 2022, were nabbed by the Assam police recently. They were arrested over their alleged links to an Al-Qaeda affiliated terrorist organization. A few days earlier, bulldozers demolished a madrasa in Bongaigaon as part of Chief Minister Hemanta Biswa Sarma's anti-jihad campaign in Assam. Chief Minister Hemanta Biswa Sarma is unfazed by this criticism.
Assam doesn't have any intention to go on demolishing madrasa. Our only intention is to see that madrasas are not used by any jihadi element. So, once madrasa are not used for jihadi works or for the purpose of expanding jihadi ideology, then why there will be demolition? But if we got specific inputs on any madrasa, in the guise of madrasa, the institution is being used for expanding jihadi activity, anti-India activity, then we are going to take strongest possible action in each and every cases.
The state government insists it has started a massive crackdown on terror in the state. More than 40 terrorists with suspected links to radical Islamist organizations, including Bangladeshi nationals, have been arrested in the state since March this year. Bureau Report, India Today. So the fourth madrasa to be demolished in Assam, are Muslims being targeted? Is due process of law being followed? Joining me on India First is GP Singh, Special Director General of Police, Assam. Sir, welcome on the show. Yet another madrasa has been demolished in Assam. Why are madrasas being targeted in the state, sir?
It's very interesting and heartwarming that early this morning I got a message from District Superintendent of Police of Goalpara district in Assam that one of the madrasas from where they had arrested one person who was having links with the Ansarul Bangla team, that is an offshoot organization of Al-Qaeda. And he gave message that the local people have gathered around and decided that they would dismantle this madrasa and the residence where these three people were staying. This is the same madrasa where these two people had come from Bangladesh and who had started indoctrination and radicalization process in that area with the intention of creating a sleeper module of Ansarul Bangla team in Goalpara district of Assam. This is very significant because this is first time in the recent past, in the last 7-8 months, that people have come together and taken action to demolish a madrasa linked to one of the global terrorist outfits.
Sir, you said this is heartwarming, the fact that people themselves are coming forward and saying enough is enough, no place for those who indoctrinate people. But the act of demolishing a madrasa, is due process of law being followed? There are allegations that Muslims are being targeted or they are in the line of fire.
There are a couple of things that people have to understand. One is that the demolition of the three madrasas that had taken place was incidental to the fact that ABT team members were arrested from there. After the arrest, the police team had gone there, and during the prima facie analysis of that building that was being used as a madrasa, it was assessed by the police team that this is a structurally unsafe building. And in all these madrasas, over 250 to 300 students were taking education, and it was considered unsafe for them. This matter was reported to the District Disaster Management Authority, who, after structural analysis being done by the PWD, decided that it was an unsafe building and it needs to be demolished for the safety of the people. Why I said it is incidental is because had AQIS/ABT activity not taken place in that madrasa, police wouldn't have gone. And this report perhaps wouldn't have been submitted by the police. So which led to the final analysis of that building being structurally unsafe and then being demolished by the DDMA.
Okay. But sir, on what basis is action being taken against these madrasas in Assam? Yes, you say that those who are indoctrinating are being caught here, or terrorist supporters or radical elements are being caught here. But what's the basis of legal action?
It's not like that. As I said, that it was on the grounds that it was an structurally unsafe building. And in this particular case of Goalpara this morning, it was on char land, which is an unauthorized construction by the local committee, Madrasa committee, and the people themselves decided that since this building has been used for anti-national activity, they would demolish it. Administration came to know about this demolition only after the demolition had already been done by the local people.
Okay, but are there other madrasas under scrutiny? Are they in the line of fire? Is effort being made to find out what is being taught there? And how do you respond to those who say that the police or the government action is in violation of Article 30 of the Constitution?
One of the steps that has been taken is that we have associated the madrasa councils in Assam. There are 4 primary madrasa councils which look after all the registered and unregistered madrasas. We have had extensive discussions with them. And after mutual discussion, it has been decided that there would be a web portal on which all the madrasas would upload information about the people who are coming there to teach.
Okay.
And there would be verification of all these people. They would be associated with some kind of a permanent identification document, whether it is driving license or voter's card or Aadhaar card. And subsequently, a joint verification of the people who are there in these madrasas would be taken along with these madrasa councils. And madrasas councils have themselves said that wherever they come to know of any anti-national activity, they would inform the local administration and local police for further necessary action.
Okay. And the Maulanas or Muftis or Maulvis, the teachers at these madrasas, so some, in some instances, they've been taken into custody. There are some reports that seem to indicate that Maulanas from Bangladesh, some perhaps even from Pakistan, are trying to radicalize young minds in India. Is indoctrination, is radicalization a major challenge, and how are you dealing with this, Mr. GP Singh?
Yes, in fact, it's a very interesting story. When we had been assessing this entire scenario for the last 1 year, we realized that there were certain preachers who were coming essentially from Bangladesh on regular tourist visas, and they here in Assam they were indulging in religious preachings by way of darts and takreers. And there also there were certain speeches which were inflammatory in nature. Subsequently, with the help of central agencies, we got their visas cancelled. So 10 such visas have been cancelled in the last 6 months. That is one part of it. Second part of it is about people coming into Assam and traveling to other parts of the country also illegally and unlawfully, and then trying to indoctrinate people for the creation of ansars or sleeper cells in Assam. So we are working on that, and I am hopeful with the kind of work that has been done by the Assam police and central agencies, we should be able to nip this problem in the bud itself.
Sir, for joining me here on this India Today special, many thanks. Now, Maulanas, Muftis, Maulvis, and of course, Jamiyat-e-Ulema-e-Hind got together in the national capital to push back against the Yogi Adityanath government's decision to direct all district collectors to carry out a survey of all unrecognized madrasas in their districts across Uttar Pradesh. The ulema took a number of decisions to fight back, including forming a steering committee to engage with the government and carry out a sensitization drive to put out the message that madrasas are not, in their view, breeding ground for terror. After Yogi Adityanath government's order on survey of all unrecognized madrasas in the state, Muslim clerics and intelligentsia met in the national capital on Tuesday and decided to resist the government action.
देखा ना कि आसाम में क्या हुआ है, तो अब वो तरीका अगर इख्तियार किया जाएगा तो वो तो नाजायज होगा, नामुनासिब होगा। चीज को ठीक करना है, खत्म तो नहीं करना। ये मैं कह रहा हूँ कि इसके डिटेल में जाए बगैर एक जनरल बात है, वो ये है कि काम को जिस तरीके से डील करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं वो तरीका गलत है, उस तरीके पर हमारा ऑब्जेक्शन है।
The Jamiyat-e-Ulema-e-Hind collected over 150 madrasa teachers and heads to decide the next course of action. It has been decided that an organization will be formed to create awareness about madrasas so that they are not seen as terror hubs.
जो पूरे मुल्क के अंदर एक माहौल चल रहा है मदरसों को लेकर और दूसरे भी मसाइल पूरे अंदर चल रहे हैं, चाहे वो मदरसों के सर्वे हो या कोई और हो, तो दारुल देवबंद ने पूरे मुल्क से चोटी के उलमा को, जो बड़े उलमा हैं, उनको जमा किया है और जो है वो 24 तारीख में इस पर कोई निर्णय लेंगे, उसमें सभा होगी।
The ulema insists they are open to talks with the government to decide the next course of action and will cooperate for the betterment of education for Muslims. However, they insist they are opposed to infringement of their rights.
प्रदेश हुकूमत ने मदरसों के सर्वे का आदेश दिया है, तो सर्वे कराने में कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, हमें कोई एतराज नहीं है। मदरसों के दरवाजे खुले हैं, जब चाहे सर्वे करने के लिए आए, हम उनका इस्तकबाल करते हैं। मगर हुकूमत की मंशा और नीयत पर हमें शक है, क्योंकि जिस तरीके से अभी गुज़श्ता दिनों मदरसों की जांच पड़ताल और तरह तरह के बयानात जो आए हैं, तो उससे हमें हुकूमत की नीयत पर शक हो रहा है।
There are close to 19,000 madrasas that are recognized by the government. The Uttar Pradesh administration has formed a special team for survey of madrasas.
देखिए, ये उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार के निर्देश हैं। उन निर्देशों के क्रम में जितने अपंजीकृत मदरसे चल रहे हैं, उनमें एक निर्धारित प्रारूप है। उस प्रारूप में इसकी जांच कराई जा रही है, सर्वे कराया जा रहा है, जिसमें बैठने के स्थान कितना है, किस प्रकार की पढ़ाई वहाँ की जा रही है, कितने लोग वहाँ पर पढ़ाने वाले हैं और कितने बच्चे वहाँ मदरसे में पंजीकृत हैं। इन बिंदुओं पर एक प्रारूप है शासन का, उस बिंदुओं पर हमारे द्वारा जांच कराई जा रही है।
The Yogi Adityanath government insists they are not targeting madrasas but want to know details of the funding of these minority education institutions and the background of the teachers.
हमारा मकसद ये है कि मदरसा एजुकेशन को हम मजबूत बनाएं, ताकि वहां से पढ़ने वाला जो हमारा मुसलमान नौजवान है, वहां से पढ़ के निकले तो समाज के मुख्य धारा में आए, उसको अच्छी नौकरी मिले, उसको बेहतर शिक्षा मिले, ताकि वो हमारे कौम का नाम, हमारे देश का नाम रोशन करे।
The National Commission for Protection of Child Rights has also ordered the survey of madrasas after images of children being chained by Maulanas went viral. At a madrasa in Nuh in Haryana, the dead body of an 11-year-old boy was found on Tuesday, with the family alleging he was killed at the madrasa.
मेरे को पता लगा था 3 तारीख में शाम को 6:30 बजे। मेरे से बोला था, भैया आपका इकबाल लड़का निकल गया, घर से लापता है, मदरसा से निकल गया है, लापता है, और उसको ढूंढ जारी कर। मैं ढूंढा उसको तो कहीं नहीं मिला। मेरे को पूरा रात ढूंढा, पूरे गांव वाले ने ढूंढा, बेचारे ने, पड़ोसी ने ढूंढ, कहीं नहीं मिला। हमको तो कहीं नहीं मिला। फिर ढूंढते हम इसको मदरसा में ओजू दूसरे दिन आए हैं। भाई सीधे सट आप जानते हो, सीधे सट मर्डर है।
क्या पुलिस
प्रशासन से न्याय चाहते हैं जी, हमारा न्याय करें।
The battle lines between the government and Muslim organizations are clearly drawn in Uttar Pradesh, with the government insisting it will follow due process of law. With Samarth Srivastav in Lucknow, Bureau Report, India Today. Let's widen the scope of the debate. Joining me on India First are two political analysts on either side of the spectrum, Shubhrashtra and Asif Sohail. Asif, I want to begin by asking you, why should Jamiyat oppose a survey if there is nothing to hide?
I just want to remind you, that madrasa are the place where the Indian freedom movement has started. Reshmi Rumal Tahrir. Let's not forget and defame the madrasa. See, I strongly condemn this thing for doing a survey on the madrasas. Why not other Shishu Mandir? Why not Vidya Niketan, Gurukuls, other institutions? See, when there is a survey, then it should be survey for equally. We should not take out political vendetta on the students and the small children who are there in the madrasa. See, we have seen a lot of engineers, doctors, professors, scientists, they came up from the madrasa.
We've also seen terrorists come out of, we've also seen terrorists being indoctrinated. There are some arrests that have taken place. But Shubhrashtra, do you want to respond? Why only madrasas? Why not Shishu Mandirs?
Sir, there is a court of law. Let the court of law decide. Let not the government. We have seen number of cases how the government has been fakely implemented the cases on the Muslim minority.
Okay.
We have
Sir, you made your point. Shubhrashtra, please respond.
Gaurav, first of all, thank you for inviting me.
Only Shubhrashtra, please.
This is my debut show at your... This is my debut, appearance at your show, Gaurav, so thank you for inviting me. I have absolutely loved this show all throughout. Your journalist Samarth has been doing some extraordinary work on ground, trying to unearth these brilliant stories with regards to this case. I have just one thing to, tell to Asif. Fortunately for some, unfortunately for others, there's a democracy in place here. So not everything is decided in the court of law. there are lawmakers in place chosen by the people to take certain course of action. Now, with this ridiculous charge of not including, Shishu Mandirs, I want to ask Mr. Asif himself.
Sir, as soon as she finishes, I will
Mr.
return to
Asif,
you.
I'm not even done asking a question.
Go on, ma'am, respond.
Asif, can you tell me 5-6 cases where teachers from Shishu Mandir have been picked up by the government on alleged terror links? Because I can quote you incidents right from Shopian to Muzaffarnagar in Uttar Pradesh to, of course, now in Assam, where some of them have been alleged terrorists and some of them have been, like convicted terrorists now. So there is a reason why the UP government is doing that. And why just UP? I think I have been making this suggestion, Gaurav, for quite some time now, ever since this whole, after the whole Nupur Sharma controversy happened, and after Friday prayers, we all saw the ruckus that was created on various grounds across different states in India. I think the government should put a CCTV camera, install CCTV cameras all throughout masjids, and if at all people feel that why should temples be excluded, by all means put it inside temple premises too, and see what is happening. Because in Muzaffarnagar in 2017, if somebody called an Abdullah, who is a terrorist, is picked up from Madrasa Mahmudiya, where he was staying free of charge, where he was taking food free of charge and doing the nefarious activities he was doing, then please explain me the rationale. Why should the law enforcement agency, which lies
Let me
with
get
the state
Asif to respond. That's a
not
fair point
take
to make there.
actions and not
Asif
put
Sohail,
madrasas under the
a
sandbar?
11-year-old was killed at a madrasa in Noo. You must have read this. Your heart must also be hurting. A 11-year-old child has been killed, found dead in a madrasa. Several students, and we are showing those images, chained at a madrasa. These images are viral. Now, just because it's a Muslim educational institution, should this continue, or should the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights intervene and see what's happening?
See, I just want to say, I know the weight of the small coffins because I lost a daughter. I know the pain of it. So let's not make a politics on anyone's death. When the child is died, there is a police is doing investigate. There are a lot of incidents happening in Uttar Pradesh. Recently, 13 years old boy been beaten to death in the school by the teacher. There are hundreds of. See, I am an activist. I am a child advocacy. I know how many cases throughout the India. Many, and there are the molestation cases by the teachers. Let's not, and I don't want to disappoint the madam. She has been in the first debut program. There are cameras, CCTV cameras everywhere in the mosque and madrasas. Please don't misguide it. Then let's not mix the terrorism with the religion. Terrorists are different if they don't have any religion. For
Fair
me,
enough.
the country comes first.
The point about NCPCR, sir, let me come to the question. My request to you, sir, answer the question. Since you're a child rights activist yourself, should NCPCR have a right to look in?
You are just hiding it.
My question to you was very straight. NCPCR.
There should be survey on Shishu Mandir, Saraswati Mandir, Gurukuls, the institution which is run by RSS, other radical organizations also. Let's not target.
So you're saying madrasa is one set of radical organization, there should be one on other radical organizations. That is what you're saying.
In the madrasas, that the court should take a case in action, but let's not make it political vendetta. How the government has done in the UP, Assam, in other states, you have seen it.
Sir, in Assam, you just heard people themselves demolished a madrasa. People of Assam demolished a madrasa. But Shubhrashtra, is government, okay, one person at a time is my request. Shubhrashtra, if government is neither funding these madrasas nor paying salary of Maulvis and Muftis, why should the government know what is being taught there, ma'am? That's the question that's being asked.
Because Gaurav, correct me if I'm wrong, these madrasas are operating on the Indian soil. And also correct me if I'm wrong, it is the very same Indian soil on which Indians live, and Indians elect a government in place to enforce law and order. So by that logic, I can very well be doing whatever I want in this premise where I'm sitting and having a conversation, and the government shouldn't ask whatever the hell is going on in my house. What kind of a logic is this? My heart goes out to, Asif for the loss of his child. But Asif, I asked you a very specific question. Can you tell me 5-6 cases where teachers from Shishu Mandir have been caught funding terror organizations, training students for terror. Because if I can see, and correct me if I'm wrong, you know, in Shopian, three ulemas were arrested. And these, please, I'm not yet done, Asif. Just hear the case out.
In Nagpur University.
Just hear the case out.
Your knowledge is totally. I strongly appreciate about your knowledge which has been got from
Asif.
Nagpur
No,
University.
I take huge objection to this.
I'm sorry.
Because whatever cases I'm recounting here are all cases that have been reported from ground by investigative journalists and by journalists who are on ground like Samarth. So please do not, you know, belittle the kind of work that these journalists do. I'm sorry, I'm not taking the jibe of Nagpur University, because I'm not sure if you know from Nagpur University, as you know, recounted the glorious history of madrasas. Let me also tell you from Nagpur University as well, there have been many freedom fighters who have come from that soil.
Okay. But
so please,
you know,
the
point is, I'm surprised, Asif, I'm surprised that Muslims themselves are not coming forward and saying, yes, look in, there is nothing wrong, and let's all work together for a better India. I'm surprised.
I'm not sitting here for a history debate with you. I'm sorry.
Absolutely, and you know, Shubhrashtra and Asif, I've run out of time. I've run out of time today on this debate, but we will pursue the story. We will pursue the story in the days and weeks ahead, because why should everyone not come forward and work together, shoulder to shoulder, for a better India?